I'll just ask you one more question and then I'll open it up to the floor for any other questions that any of our guests have. But I am curious, what is it about you that makes you good at your current job? I'll put CJ on the spot to start off with.
That's a hard one. What about me that makes me good at my job? Oh gosh. Let's see. I think I think the thing, and this actually just happened today too, is that I'm pretty humble. I say it as it is when it comes to like the mistakes that I make. And it helps other people learn too, right? Like it's not necessarily the only thing that makes me good at being a data engineer, but it is partly how I keep having the jobs that I have and keep, keep doing what I'm doing. And, it's being humble and being transparent is pretty important as a developer because, there's a lot of problems that people don't know about. And, I get imposter syndrome. I assume I'm the worst. I know nothing about anything and whatnot. And I assume that everyone else knows everything. It's weird. But so in reality, it's not that. It's like everyone is doing this the first time, etc. And when I make a mistake and I tell my boss and my team on the team Slack, like, I messed up, I duplicated data, which happened today, and I know how to fix this and whatnot. And people learn. They're like, oh, okay, like, I didn't know you would duplicate data if you did it this way. And they see it as like a mentoring process, because on my data engineering team, I have the highest title, so I'm supposed to be a mentor through that. And, I just learned that, being humble and being transparent about that helps me get to where I am today. And then, there's, the data analysis part and stuff like that, which I feel like a lot of people can get good at, but it takes a lot to be a humble and transparent person. So that's what I'm going with for that.
I love it. I think you're very humble, CJ, but I also think you're a brilliant human being. So it's reassuring to hear that we all have imposter syndrome. Rachel, you can go next.
Let's see. What about me makes me good at my job? That was the question. So my job as a support engineer is a little different than like other engineering roles. I don't actually like really code that much. It's more like, but the software isn't working and it's your fault. Why isn't your software working? Help me fix my thing. And we get that sort of these messages all day from customers. It's pretty interesting. It's very like customer facing, which is kind of a fun parallel to having a retail career before going to learn and like learning to code, which is kind of funny because I'm still definitely doing like the customer service thing. So I feel like my compassion and my empathy is like huge in that, where I know we're behind a screen and it's all through text, but being able to read a message from someone and understand like the underlying tone of that message and how urgent it is for them, for their day, for me to help them fix their problem, I think is really important. And for me, being able to like take all of these problems that people are having and be able to triage them and say that this one's a higher priority than the next one, maybe because they're freaking out right now, has been really helpful, because it can be tough to kind of understand how things should be prioritized. And then other than that, probably my ability to see patterns in things and notice, patterns and things that are coming through, so that I can identify when maybe it is something wrong with our product and isn't something that they're doing wrong, which allows me to kind of like elevate things to different parties and different teams. And so in general, it just like helps me be successful in my job. So probably those two things. Yeah. Yeem.
As for me, I would say that what something that is a strength for me is my communication skill. I think that's often been said to me as well when I was in the boot camp, that I was really communicative, speaking to the instructors, asking questions, and speaking to my partners really well. I think that's been really helpful to me in my current role as a software validation engineer, because my role is literally to be like Wreck-It Ralph, just going through the developer's code and seeing what's working, what's not. And I've been here for a month, only a month, but I have really learned the importance of like good documentation, speaking to the developer and seeing what is already a known issue, what's being worked on. And I really agree with Rachel as well, that having empathy and having that experience in a previous customer service role is just so important. Like I do have meetings with clients, but I currently am working with the developers more at this moment. But I think it is really important to be able to speak with them, because, the last thing they want to hear really is that something they made didn't work, So I think it's really important to be able to make the issue really clear, but also be empathetic in a way of saying like, oh, this is like low priority right now. I know you're working on other things. And so I agree that empathy is really important, but I also think that communication is really important as well, especially in a remote field or where we're working right now.
Lela.
Well, yeah, you guys are making some great points. Definitely everything that's been said. I think I would also focus in on the empathy component. So I'm a software engineer, and we take ownership for this humongous piece of software that exists and is very complex, and a lot of different people touch it, and a lot of different types of people touch it. So we have like on our own staff, a team of nurses that work to like process some of the consults and pull them out of like EHRs and things like that and get them into our system. So we have to consider them and their perspective when it comes to, what it is that they're actually doing with our software. And we have like providers that use it, we have specialists that use it. And then we have our own internal team, like our client services department needs to use certain configuration pages that we put together. So being able to take a step back from any given ticket that shows up on our to-do list and to say like, well, who actually, who said that? Who said it's not working? Like, who wants it differently? And other things too that might just not be so intuitive, oh, if they got a consult of one variety and then the same patient shows up with a different e-consult within a few days. I mean, is it a duplicate? Is that something we flag, or does it make sense that those would just be two separate entities? So definitely taking the perspective of who's going to be using what we're building and who's hurt by the bug in question or whatever's going on with it. And it's not something I actually see that much in the rest of my team, which is interesting. Some, they'll say, well, just ask product. What does product think? And, it sort of feels like, well, what do you think? And how would you feel if you were in that spot? And I think that really helps to drive a high quality product that's not going to just come back as another bug in a couple months.
I really love that a lot of the things that you guys said is all like communication and like empathy and passion about and connecting with other humans, which I think is absolutely part of it's what we do in technology, but it's not something that you think of immediately when you think of a typical developer role. So I love that.